this short video, which is part of the Cumbria Woodlands Warmth from Wood project, we're going to look at the importance of drying firewood. We know that when timber is freshly felled, it's got a moisture content of around 50 or 60%, which is far too wet to burn, so we've got to dry it or season it until that moisture is removed from the timber. If we burnt it at that point, we'd waste at least half of the energy. We'll be using that to drive the steam off, boil the water out of the log, which not only wastes that energy, but also causes an increase in particulates, an increase in smoke emissions, can damage your appliance, can block up the flue and ultimately lead to chimney fire. So burning wet wood is like throwing money up your chimney. Wood is like a dense handful of straws. It loses moisture readily from the ends and a little bit from along the grain. Exposure to airflow, wind and sun will encourage this movement of water out of the wood. The shorter you cut and the smaller you chop them, the quicker they will dry. But you have to balance this against the increased amount of work in cutting all your logs short. So after cutting and splitting our logs, we need to stack it to allow it to dry. It needs to be stacked so it's safe and secure, open to the wind. If you can see through it, then the air can get through it, but you don't want to stack it so loose that it's be unstable and will fall down. So where's the best place to stack? Well, if we arranged it in preference, best practice downwards, we'd say a Dutch barn is best first, where it's got access to the wind and shelter from the rain. Second would be a lean-to, with access to lots of wind, but keeping the rain off the top. You could build your own log store from a few old pallets beside your house. And third place on our list would be an open stack like this. Just down this valley is the wettest place in England, but this site's really open to the wind and the rain dries off quite quickly. You can always cover the stack with a tarp and weigh it down. Stacks in the bottom of damp valleys with no wind in our temperate maritime climate may not dry at all, and you're going to get fungus and mould develop on your logs. You could also dry timber in crates or dumpy bags, but it's difficult to dry the logs in the middle as there's no access for the wind. There are lots of ways to stack logs, and here are some photos of interesting log stacks. But for this type of stack, think of it as a wall of logs braced at the end. Keep it off the ground on bears or old pallets for better airflow and to prevent the bottom layer rotting. You can put in a couple of posts like this, or a lattice brace it like this, tilted to withstand the pressure, and arrange props if it looks unstable. So cover your stack if you can, put a tarp over the top to stop the rain penetrating through the stack, and weigh it down so that the wind doesn't blow it off, and then let the sun and the wind do the job of drying the firewood for you. How long this takes is going to depend quite a lot on the conditions and on the species. Softwoods and ash are going to dry really quickly, maybe in one summer, whereas oak and dense timbers might take 2 or even 3 years. But these are some of the things we know don't work well. Damp, enclosed sheds with no air movement. Your timber's not going to dry in there. You're going to get a lot of mould development and fungal growth. Cages and bags are okay, but the wood in the middle doesn't dry very well at all. And timber that's covered over completely with a tarpaulin or plastic or whatever, that's not a good idea either. Remember, all of these are just our suggestions, if you like. But think of your own solutions, but access to moving air is crucial to successful drying.